All right, beyond excited. I've been waiting 35 years for this. Some people have like dreams of, you know, Lamborghinis or whatever. Mine's this stupid car. Yeah, he's pulling straight in here. Look at that! Look at that!
Look, I've never seen you so happy in your whole life, bro.
Oh my god, I can't stop smiling. Look at this. Yeah, see, just need a little TLC. You should. Little TLC. Dude, it's all Bondo.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Do you know any good metal guys, Tim?
All I care about is if the door opens and closes. That's all I care about.
These doors doesn't open.
That one doesn't?
No.
Oh my god. Ow.
Tim Mosseri and his, what year?
1981.
1981 DeLorean.
See it? It's right there.
Oh, okay.
September 81. We'll put this right here.
Minimal rust.
Nope. Nope. Good thing stainless doesn't rust, but Bondo does. This episode we have a very special guest. He's all the way from London, UK. This guy is probably one of the biggest car designers out there. Everything he designs goes completely viral on social media. He's the owner of LTO, which is Live to Offend. They build some of the best aero packages out there for some of the 80s cars. And we're sitting in the most iconic 80s car ever right now. So we're gonna get that Zoom interview going. So without further ado, let's jump out of this thing and get over to that Zoom call with none other than Khyzyl Saleem.
My name's Khyzyl, and I've been working in the automotive industry and concept art world for about 6 years now.
I initially contacted you to fulfill this dream I had to build one of the wildest DeLoreans out there. And you immediately were like, a DeLorean? I'll make room for this.
First off, it's one of those cars that I think everybody knows. It's instantly recognizable for even someone that isn't a car person. It was a great opportunity, I think, to work on a car that I think people haven't really seen pushed. Is too good of a project to miss, to be honest.
So it's for like the Widebody kit for the DeLorean. We had some challenges, obviously, because the car's stainless.
There are two sides to it. You either go extreme and you go wild and it stands out from the car, or you want something that looks manufactured. But I think what we ended up with is just perfect for the car. It suits the car so well. And it works. It works really well.
You know, you being a child of the 80s like myself and being obsessed with that golden era of IMSA, we kind of wanted this DeLorean to look like an IMSA race car meets modern day, where, you know, we have the Garret turbos hanging out the back underneath the rear diffuser. We have the LS motor, so it's gonna have a lot of power.
Exhaust work, turbos, everything. This build is building on the Icon. I think it's gonna be that unique of a build that it will definitely stand out. I think people will like it. It's not too far gone from what the DeLorean is known for as typical styling elements. It's just pushed and enhanced, and it has a little bit of 90s kind of race flair in there as well. I love the fact that people like yourself are building these cars, cutting into them, you know, you're not afraid. It's truly the essence of Live to Offend. There are plenty out there that are stock and untouched. It's always nice to have something different. I'm super excited to see the final product. I can't wait.
Now that we have all our renderings that Khyzyl made for us, now it's time to take concept and bring it to reality. First thing we need to do is go ahead and scan the entire exterior of the DeLorean so we can send it over to Tyler at Fortune Auto Design, and he can make an actual widebody kit that we can then cut out and make widebody panels for. In order for a 3D print to bolt to a surface, you have to have something to actually bolt to.
There's 3 cameras on the scanner, so it picks up the dot from 3 different angles, which is your X, Y, and Z, and gives it just a point in space. It just makes it easier for the scanner to know exactly where it is, keep it nice and accurate. This is actually a really cool product that actually dissipates in probably about 15 minutes to 4 hours, depending on how hard you spray it. Back in the day, you'd have to use like Tenactin.
Boom! Tough actin Tenactin.
Like baby powder or something like that. Just something to take the shine off of it, because that's what this is using, is reflectivity to measure how far away the laser is hitting the part and puts it in 3D space.
Now that we have the DeLorean all scanned up and digitized, we can focus on the motor. We're gonna put an LS in a DeLorean. This is our 5.3 mock-up block. We're gonna be using this one for mock-up because the dimensions are right. We have our Porsche 996 transaxle already bolted up with our Kennedy adapter plate. This is a really nice CNC billet unit. It's gonna allow us to be able to run the transaxle with the LS. So we're not gonna be putting the engine in front where it looks like it would go. We're gonna be putting suitcases up there. Back here is where the engine's gonna be. DeLoreans are very similar to a Porsche. The engine hangs over the rear wheel travel. We're gonna have to modify that cross member in order to get the engine in this bay. The center line of this firewall coming down only gives us about 4 or 5 inches to this cross member, and we need 9, which is pretty much flat off of here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna scallop this back and we're gonna remetal this off the face. So we're gonna essentially move this guy all the way so it's level. On other DeLorean swaps, guys use a front sump pan, and when you're looking at the back end of the car, all you see is a pulley and a big, nasty, ugly oil pan. We're gonna use a rear sump oil pan, which shifts the oil pan pickup towards the transmission. So it's gonna be really nice and tight, and it's gonna allow us to tuck the exhaust and all the turbos and everything under here. Yes, there will be turbos, but more on that later. So let's go ahead and start cutting this up. What I ended up doing is cutting off the tow hooks that were installed by DeLorean. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take our 1x1, we're gonna weld it right in there like that. We'll be able to cut this away and then remake this cross member all nice where it's flat on the front side and it jogs over to allow that rear sump pan to clearance. And then maybe, just maybe, we'll put the engine in.
Oh, you looking at me? I'm eating lunch, bro.
That'll fit. The LS is finally in the DeLorean. It's just mocked up right now. We went ahead and put the rear panels on, put the rear bumper on, got everything fit up just to make sure that we don't have any clearance issues. We're still gonna have to swap out our crankshaft pulley for a Corvette one. The engine's kind of high in the back. So what we're gonna do is, we have our truck oil pan on there still. We're gonna swap this oil pan out for this Corvette unit. So this is about 2 or 3 inches lower than the truck one. So we're gonna pull the motor out now, swap out the oil pan, and throw the engine back in and see how it's sitting in the DeLorean. Real quick, you can see exactly how deep that truck pan is compared to the Corvette one. So this is gonna give us a lot more room in that engine bay. The oil pan did the trick. Before, the trumpets on the throttle bodies were sticking above this door, this platform. So for right now, I have the oil pan sitting on top of this crossbar. I'm gonna do my transmission bracket first, then I'm gonna lift the motor up about 1/4 inch off this crossbar, and then connect the dots to our motor mount. Then we'll build out this cross member and get everything nice and situated. Once that's all done, then we can start mapping out the rest of the engine bay. So first, let's cut some plates on the plasma cutter for the front mount on the Porsche transmission, and then we'll be able to connect the dots in the chassis up there. We have 2 bolts on the lower frame rail. This is the factory mount point for the Porsche transmission. There's no other tabs anywhere else on the transmission, so pretty much the whole front of the transmission is hung at this point. This is pretty beefy. I don't think we're gonna have a lot of issues with this. The only thing I see is we might have to trim this bracket here to make clearance for the cables so we can shift it. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna head over to the motor mounts and try to get those situated. This is just kind of like your standard off-the-shelf LS motor mount kit. If you're doing like a hot rod or something like that, comes with a 4-bolt plate welded to a bushing, and they have a nice race. The only difference that we did on this one is I welded this flat plate on these 2 ears to make it like a U, so it grabs that whole bushing, And as you can see, it's like a saddle. We're gonna go ahead and bolt this in, and we already have our plates cut out on the plasma cutter that bolts to the factory location on the DeLorean chassis. But there's these two really tiny 12mm bolts that hold it in. I'm not super happy about that. I'm gonna weld this plate to the chassis. I'm gonna take another plate and weld it here, and we're gonna triangulate this motor mount because this thing's gonna have a lot of power. I don't want anything to happen. We decided to go full gorilla on the motor mount since we want to have 1,000 horsepower in this thing. So we used 1/4-inch plate to triangulate the motor mount. Still going to put a plate inside of here once the motor comes back out, and the cross member is going to be reinforced too. The engine placement is as low as we can get it so that we can actually put a flat pan underneath the car. And this Corvette oil pan really saved us on this setup. Andrew, what do you think so far, man?
I think it looks pretty sick. I'm excited about it. It fits a lot nicer than I thought it was going to, and those mounts are pretty trick. I like it.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it too. We have a little bit more gap on the backside here than we could allow, but the problem with these DeLoreans, the chassis kind of comes to an intersection at the front there. It kind of just connects together. So the transmission is literally a business card away from that backing plate. So this is as far forward as the engine could go in the engine bay. We got new toys for the DeLorean. This is gonna be my Underdrive Pulley Kit, AKA alternator. Our crank pulley, our ICT billet alternator bracket. We did end up getting a water pump. With Andrew's tutelage, he said this is the one to get. So if it doesn't fit, it's his fault. It's a thin one.
Very low profile.
Let's see how it looks over here.
Oh yeah! Man, is that a Corvette engine? Man,
look how low it is. Oh. We're making really good progress with the turbo system. The biggest piece of the puzzle right now is getting these intake plenums mocked up. Right now we have our Vibrant HD clamp tacked on there so we know exactly where our points are. And we've cut a hole in the side of our car. The concept is we're going to be putting two 6-inch deep Vibrant intercooler cores on either side of the engine and running our 4-inch intake pipes, our charge pipes, down the side of the engine bay here, do like a 180 and back into the intake. This back bumper is so close to the motor, it's almost impossible to get it to come the other way. There's a ton of room up here to be able to run our intercooler piping. We're gonna go ahead and put our intercooler end tanks on, and then we're gonna go ahead and sheet all this in with some aluminum and brush it. We have our intercooler cores from Vibrant. These are some big boys. This is gonna be able to keep the charge temperatures down. Now, when I do my end tanks, I like to use some poster board from Home Depot and then transfer it over to our 1/8-inch plate they're gonna use in our end tanks with. We have our plenums all in place. We went ahead and mocked up our whole back end to make sure everything fits. And as you can see, the water pump is very tight. We have the intercooler end tanks in. The intercoolers are where they're gonna stay. They're gonna be right on the outside of each of these wheel wells. We have our Tycon pie cuts all mocked up. This is gonna come straight back into a HD clamp. We have our Delorean logos plasma cut. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna take our Garret turbos. We're gonna be running the G series. These are good for about 750 to 1,000 horsepower a piece. We already have our HD vibrant clamps welded on. We had to make a little adapter to go from the 2-inch to a 2.5. But what we have to do right now is the concept for the back end of the car. We're gonna go ahead and cut this valance up right here. And we're gonna run the exhaust and the turbos and everything up high and then make a diffuser to kind of encapsulate them. We have the turbos hung finally. The Garret G-Series turbos are in the back of the car. Now, we are going for looks on this build. So as you can see, the G-Series turbos are hung right behind the rear tires. They're gonna kind of incorporate in with the diffuser that we're gonna build. And that is the reason why I tucked the motor up so high. So it's above the level of the cross member. So as this diffuser comes back and tucks up like this, we're just gonna fill this entire cavity full of titanium goodness from Tycon Industries. Right now, the concept is I wanna come out of the outlets of each turbo. Of course the headers have to be made, but they're gonna kind of come up here and the collectors will kind of face here and it'll be like a 90 going in. And then the wastegate will be kind of at the bottom right here. The exhaust is gonna come out here, come up above this pulley, do a complete U-bend, come up and then 90 to the tips. The two U-bends merging together is gonna sound better because whenever you have two banks that are independent of each other, it sounds more like a delivery truck almost. But when you merge the two banks together, then you get that exotic, more throaty sound. All right, so time to make some charge pipes. We have to make them inside of that hole. We got one vibrant clamp there and one vibrant clamp there. The idea was to hide all the charge pipe inside of this pontoon on the driver and passenger side. These are actually factory holes from when the car was originally made. I guess they just made these little access holes. So we're gonna reutilize these and try to put some charge pipe inside because the turbo, turbo's gonna have to run through here into the intercooler and then come out this end and go inside the plenum with the ITBs. All right, we got one side done. Vibrant HD clamp there and a vibrant HD clamp there. All hidden. That's all we got for charge pipe. Probably do like a panel that covers up this hole, but for right now, turbo, charge pipe, intercooler, V8. All right, guys, that's a wrap for this episode. We got a lot of work done on the engine bay, as you can see. We got our intake plenums done, our charge piping, our whole turbo system. We even got our LSX valve covers all brushed and looking nice. Got our entire serpentine belt system in, our water pump, all our drive accessories, and our turbos are hanging exactly where we want them with our long tube stainless steel headers. So next time we're gonna keep moving on. As you can see, there's some funny stuff on the back deck lid of this car. It is carbon fiber. Tune in, because we're gonna be going down the road on this thing, and soon, very soon, it's gonna be the DeLorean. Why not? We still have a lot to do on the DeLorean. We got some carbon fiber work to do. We're gonna be doing a lot more wiring. We have a Restomod Air AC system to put in this thing to bring this thing up to date. And we have a ton of work to do inside of the car, as well as the exterior. And SEMA's just weeks away. So thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you guys later.